DBT-ILS Bioincubator should be remembered as one of the incubators which facilitates faculties to take their scientific research to translation, conduct awareness and sensitization program. We also conduct biohackathons based on theme-wise biohack. Some technologies do take a lot of time to come to the market. And those kind of innovations are never judged on how much revenue are they making. For faculties, we do conduct faculty development, and we have seen many people working in startups switching to academia, switching to entrepreneurial themselves, switching from one job to bigger companies as well. Leave your comfort zone, experiment. If the opportunity does not come with you, create the opportunity. That is my last.
Even if you fail.
Even if you fail, yes.
You just
keep trying until you get it right.
And today we are having Dr. Nivedita Jena with us. So she is the Chief Operating Officer and DBT-ILS Bioincubator. So we will discuss how the bioentrepreneurship works and how the incubator is specifically helping the academia to make startups in the biotech sector. Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Amaresh Panda. I'm a scientist at ILS, and I also serve as a founder for the RNA Biotech. Okay, Dr. Jena, so what inspired you to start the career in mentoring this academic startups and taking the biotech sector forward in Odisha?
So I also come from a very strong research and academic background. When I came back after my postdoctoral studies back to my home state, the gap that I was seeing was in translation. Alright. And bridging that gap was the first thing that I thought instead of teaching. I was getting teaching positions in different universities and in academy. But I also had an opportunity if I want to plunge a different career pathway altogether. So, what inspired me to come into translation research was the knowledge that was coming because of the innovations, the new innovations that were discussed from academia and from new startups. So it was always addressed to the latest technologies and latest innovations that are there. So that attracted me into the field with a mission to bridge academia and the innovation ecosystem or translation.
So you talked about like novel ideas translating into startups. So how do ILS Bioincubators select people who are ready to take their ideas into the market?
There are two ways innovators approach DBT-ILS Bioincubator. One is through social media, of course. The others are, seeing our own startups getting selected in different platforms, showing tractions. They reach out to us through email, through phone calls, from word to mouth, and then we have a portal, a form that they fill. A few questions about their innovation. What is that plan that they want to carry out at DBT-ILS Bioincubator? Once we have a 2 round of interaction with them, we understand these can be taken to the next translation level. Only then we invite them to present in front of a committee. The committee is comprised of different expertise from scientific background as well as business background. They figure out if this translation, if this idea can be nurtured well at DBT-ILS Bioincubator. Then we onboard them. And once we onboard them, it is like first 2 years. Then year-wise, if we are mutually benefiting each other, and the startup is able to grow and create an impact, then we associate and let them stay with us for 5 years. And that is how we will be contributing. In terms of facilities, we have very unique facilities because our focus is completely on the biosolutions that we are providing for any sector. It can be agri sector, pharma sector, healthcare sector, industrial biotechnology sector, or food sector. So, we are completely focusing anybody who is coming with biosolutions to these sectors.
So you said you evaluate like 2 year and 10 year ones. So any biotech company, they take years, maybe 5 to 10 years. That is the time scale they take to reach to a product and get a sustainable amount of revenue. So how do you help them getting there? Like what are the policies or incentives are there from government or bioincubator side so that they can sustain that long?
Very pertinent question, Dr. Patel. Some technologies do take a lot of time to come to the market, and those kind of innovations are never judged on how much revenue are they making in the early years. Those are judged on the growth of the TRL levels of the technology, okay, that they are bringing to the market, and that later might have impact in the society. The other class of our technologies where the innovations can make revenue in 2 years or 3 years, we do help them to acquire early startup funds that are being initiated by different government schemes like BIRAC, like DST, like CSIR, like Mighty. We have from Startup India Seed Fund and Startup Odisha Seed Fund also. There are many other CSR grants also that we channelize these startups and encourage them to apply and get them. So many of our startups have done a wonderful job in getting their initial funding. And after this initial pickup, then we try to connect them to VCs, connect them to seed fund grantees, so that they can overcome their debt valley. As people say, there is a big debt valley in the entrepreneurial ecosystem. That is how we connect them. So as they always say, net worth is net worth. So that is what we encash into it.
Kind of programs do you conduct so that people are benefited and learn about how to start the startup, specifically from the biotech academia sector?
So we usually have two kind of crowd. One is who are the MSc level, who are just wanting to do their PhDs, and then we have a crowd who have done their PhDs and are going for postdocs. This is the scientific crowd that is available in Odisha, and the programs that we conduct is awareness programs and sensitization programs to make them know what bioentrepreneurship is there, what are the opportunities that are available for them to, and what India is focusing right now. All these three things we try to tell them and let them choose what kind of careers that they want to. So for this, we do conduct awareness and sensitization program. We also conduct biohackathons based on theme-wise biohackathons, and sometimes we do events on innovators. So, and for faculties, we do conduct faculty development programs called BioEignite, which is conducted yearly twice. And in these three important programs, we find a lot of interest coming from student faculty as well as postdocs. So at least they get aware of what is there in the biotech ecosystem in India, what India is providing, and how in the next few years, how biotech ecosystem will be shaping in India. So to these programs, we have got successful examples. Students have been converted into innovation fellows. Students have taken different career pathway. They've got clarity in understanding what career pathway they want and how do they fit. Some of the faculties have taken an entrepreneurship, and Dr. Panda, yourself are one of our example coming as ILS spin-off. So these are a couple of programs. Other than these, we also give business development, finance trainings, IP trainings. And as and when mentors are required, they are connected as well as it is.
Yeah, for the students specifically, like if they start the entrepreneurship journey without a job, like how long does it take for the startup to get some grants so that they cannot work for years for free, to thinking that they will get the revenue and generate some money, right? So how can they initially like get funded? Uh,
So I usually encourage students to participate in hackathons. A lot of CSR small grants like 5 to 10 lakhs, 2 to 10 lakhs are being rolled out by different organizations. So once they get crack that, because that gives a confidence that the idea that they are talking about is being peer reviewed and it has some kind of acceptance that can go into translation. So if they come from a good educational background and they have that attitude of taking entrepreneurship, only then we encourage to take a gap and then do entrepreneurship. So there are different kind of people that we come across. Some are, start very early in the undergrad level. Some start after MSc. So undergrad level is always having an edge because he has the time to take that risk. So postgrad level, he thinks whether I should go for a job or
so
something.
if
So
they take the risk if the family supports.
yes, so that is always there. That's why the percentage that we see is very low compared to the percentage. I think Indian ecosystem or Indian parenting is still not open completely for individuals to go ahead and try entrepreneurship, which is understandable. So, but I think the ecosystem is growing. There are more people who are coming. From government aside, there are many schemes so-called innovation fellows, like Entrepreneurship and Investments Program, Entrepreneurship Innovation Fellow programs from different ministries. So all of these can be leveraged by UG and PG students to try if they're a startup works.
Yeah, but these are all like 1 year or 1.5 year programs.
Sure.
Whatever grant you talk about from Startup Odisha to Startup India, BIRAC, but the time scale, it is always more than 5 years to have sustainability revenue. Then, like if someone has a idea that uh, that is good and that can be translated into product, but it takes years to reach the market. So how they can get like after 1 year, 2 years of grant from the government, how can they bridge that gap, like what you said, the depth there? How can they cross that?
Sure. Usually when people from MSc or PhD who are starting off as a DNA fellow or something, the first year they are testing themselves, they have entrepreneurial attitude or not to progress further. So 1 year in research program is enough to work on a prototype and judge their own capability and get the confidence. Once they get the confidence, there are line of programs that are being attached. So the many policies that are being rolled out by different ministries are well planned and structured. They give you fellowships to understand if you have the capability, there are low skill. Once you have that confidence, you definitely apply for other ones and you get it. And then you understand the ecosystem, then you know how strategically you can move forward to create your base and enjoy the entrepreneurship. So that is what is my take on.
But if suppose after 1 year I start a business and I don't have a job and I realize no, this is not my cup of tea, then you go to the job market, then I think it will be very difficult for a student like this or a MSc student to find a job, and they might get a question like what you were doing for last 1 year, right? So how do they justify their 1 year of learning or risk taking ability, whatever? They- How do you think they can justify in the interview when they were asked?
I think it gives them a better opportunity. I have examples. A girl who had been an EUFL after her MSc. She wrote that grant, she cracked that, she made the prototype, and now she's assistant professor in Chandigarh University. Alright? So then it gives them an edge over the others, saying that they want to apply, ideate, and
Grants.
conceptualize, right, grant, face the interview, they share their learnings of innovation. Now they're prepared for either a scientific journey or an entrepreneurial journey, both. Right? So these kind of examples are also there. So people who have failed, this is the success story that I'm talking about. So there are students who have done, taken up entrepreneurial journey for 1.5 years or so, but they couldn't figure out, maybe because the product and the market fit was not getting aligned, or there could be many multiple reasons, it could be their commitment or their way of taking things forward, and many, on those lines, then you think interviewers are very open. If they are able to share what they have done in the whole 1 year, they will be able to judge. If he has really put in effort, then I think this space is open for jobs. And we have seen many people working in startups, switching to academia, switching to entrepreneurial themselves, switching from one job to bigger companies as well. A lot of examples that in this 5 years of running the bioeconomy at ILS that I've experienced, there's a lot of role model examples from faculties to students to undergrads. So Dr. Panda, you have been an founder of RNA Biotech. So we would love to hear what inspired you to start RNA Biotech and take your scientific research to translation.
Yeah, so like when I came back from US to start my lab, I realized like all the products we have being the RNA researcher, we need a lot of RNA research. That's the funny and also DNA research. And most of the kits are imported. And we had hardly few players in India. And most often we compare the quality to the foreign brands, and we always go the foreign brands. So, and there are some issues with the so-called regularities in the market, whether from India or from abroad. They are mostly cotton based, and they do not work for all kinds of sample people who isolate iron. So with that in mind, and it's a lot of money also. It takes like each kit cost like $20,000 more for 50 years. So with that made like these are not very like high from work, scientific research needed to develop this case, and this the technology is known for like decades now. And I thought like let me try it out with magnetic beads. And in the lab we successfully tried with RNA isolation, with comparing the quality and quantity with the best kits in the market, and then published it. And then I thought like why not make fresh data, because otherwise like just publishing means nothing. Because it will be, someone will be just following the protocol, but it will not benefit anyone. Especially in the Indian scenario, we always talk about quality and also the price. Looking at both the things, I thought of taking it forward.
Dr. Panda, how do you see RNA Biotech in the next 5 years? And what are the main USPs that you are giving through this product, and what are the kind of products that might come under this umbrella?
So, yeah, I will answer the second question first. So, like I said, I started with the investigation. And after that, we thought like it's not only the iron isolation bit. If we look at the academic institutes, our research lab without lot of funding, they cannot buy multiple DNA and isolation kits for each of the isolation, like genetic DNA isolation, microRNA isolation, or PCR. So for that need, we thought of developing all biomolecule isolation kits so that that single kit can be used for total RNA, microRNA, PCR now, genomic DNA. And we got funding from Startup Odisha as well as from Startup India Safe Fund to reach. And we are trying to develop that product that is already in the testing phase. So hopefully we will launch that product. And the other product we are recently like working on is a all-in-one system for visualization and running DNA. So basically, like for the DNA isolation and visualization, we use multiple equipments from microwave to gel apparatus, power banks. So we combined everything into one single bag, and we have the granted patent for the design. We have also filed the provisional patent for the equipment, and now we're testing the equipment and the idea, and hopefully we'll have the full product prototype ready for the product launch. Uh, to your first question, 5-year plan, like actually you already said, companies go through debt value, and we have completed 4 years now with the support of India government and Odisha government. And we have products, but the revenue is not that much to sustain it. And we are running towards the debt value, as you said, but we are trying our hard to penetrate the market because, as I said, like most of the research labs and institutes prefer the foreign banks. But we are still trying to convince people so that they get the good quality thing and from an Indian startup so that we can sustain. Otherwise, like we will also be another company running into the debt trap. And it's not easy to sustain the company for very long without taking the amount of revenue. We cannot run that on government grants. That was it. So when you started this journey with the bioincubator, how does the new startup Odisha Biotech policy that came this year is going to help the Odisha startups in the biotech sector?
See, startup Odisha policy, which they implemented, although it's not a public bank, but the policy is out of the learnings that they have got from the last 5 to 7 years. And what are the loopholes that the startups were there in the startup ecosystem, and how startups were facing problems, those things have been taken care of in the policies that need to be framed. And to that, I think they have also added some increase in funding, how to take a government tenders, how startups can participate in government tenders. So I think it is also coming from startup area, where the policies are getting little lean for startups so that they can participate in government tenders like Make in India, this kind of products if they have. So they have, if you have 2 years in the market or 3 years in the market, you can participate in that. So startups are considered as a different category than the main industry, regular industry, which have different criteria to get it as a vendor registration. And startup, if has to enter into vendor registration, they have a different category. So this is an improvement that I have seen. So now startups are getting government benefits as well.
What kind of policy challenges did you face when you went through this 5 year subject? And how do you think like if there are any better policy for the startups of the incubator than you better on the startups?
So this incubator being in an hosted in DBT run organizations, uh, this has their pros and cons inside. So we are not a separate sectioning company, which helps me to navigate the regulatory authorities like ILS or the us
For the institute.
through the institute, the biosafety companies, which otherwise it is very difficult for the sectioning companies to create. Since our focus of this incubator is completely biotech, so that has helped in this. So in terms of policy that we're talking about, I mean, would you mean the policies that are there from the central government DBT for hosting an incubation in their in-house institute, or
Yeah, no, policy in the sense like how they promote startups basically. Because that is the policy of the government to host the incubation. So that
those policies?
yeah, that policy is the institute policy. I'm talking about policies that would give you a free hand to help the startups grow, like you said, like, for all the policies in biosafety, you have to go through to the institute. So, what kind of other policies would have been there that would help you?
So the policies for helping the incubation having an free liberty to mentor the startups. So if they can help the startups who are there in the incubation sector, also use the scientific knowledge from the scientists, involve the scientists of the host organization, facilities that can be utilized to create novel discoveries or innovations that can be taken forward, or that can actually accelerate the innovation. If the policies are made such that it can enable and facilitate all the startups to use the host organizations, infrastructure, facilities, scientific knowledge and mentorship as well. All of that is actually a complete ecosystem. But if the facilitation is more smoother, so there are not many hiccups for startups. So I think we need to come up with the rules and regulations such that it actually facilitates the person who's taken up this journey and then fastens the innovation to come to the market. Right? Otherwise, the number of roadblocks that a startup gets.
Just the rules and regulations. Instead of that, we should have suggestions and the roadmap. So more than rules and regulations, we need policies that facilitate the work instead of regulations. Because startups, as we are discussing like the day fair, regulations will make more startups go into the day fair. If we have policies that promote, that help the startup, we all say we're helping, but how you are agently helping the startup, that is not always very clear. But the rules are very clear.
And I completely agree with you. Actually, BIRAC policies, whether it is the state or the central government, they have documented every aspect of a startup journey and how scientific research can become into translation. But what it lacks in the policy is the implementation of the host organization on the ground. So they have internal hiccups that every organization faces, not just pointing out to one organization. And they have their own internal policies that makes a lot of reaches to overcome the facilitations right now. But if it is coming from top down, if the implementation methods are also assigned to organizations,
Simplify.
it will get more simplified and there's no reinventing the wheel again. You just need to follow how the implementation needs to be done. That will increase number of innovations from scientific labs to translation.
Yeah, no, but the MHRD policy, if you look at the shadow policy, the IITs, they have a very smooth roadmap for faculties and researchers to go into the institution. But if you go to other departments in the government, the institute have not that many faculty down in. So the roadmap is there, but why you think like not many researchers come into this? Although they have patents, they have technology that can be considered that go to market to help them make in India policy, but they don't go.
I think one is an ecosystem. IT has an ecosystem built in through 100 years, and they have a complete, what do we say, for taking the encouraging faculties, encouraging startups, encouraging
Even the students make
companies. Yeah. They take dropouts of the years, they make their companies, and then they finish their degrees. So it's a more evolved ecosystem, right? If you're coming to tier 2, tier 3 cities where state or universities are there or small research organizations are there, they are first of all the lack of awareness. If they are aware, they don't know how to take it forward as in the leadership level. Once the leadership is ready also, it needs penetration from the faculties, from the students to make it successful. So
and more efforts from all
levels is required for a successful ecosystem to be created. That is completely visible in an ideal system, and I'm sure it must have taken its own time also to come to this level. We are still learning, but then autonomy is one
it is in the same country, but we should not take another 50 years to learn, right?
No, we take clues from IITs and create our policies so that the facilitation is much smoother for other organizations also, instead of creating new ones. So that is a suggestion we have been always giving at different forums, doing increase the innovation capacity from the students and the faculties and the involvement, community involvement needs to be really encouraged to see the growth in the startup ecosystem as well.
And the other thing I want to add here is like from all stakeholders, but when it comes to researchers or scientists, we are not trained in that way. We all are trained to make papers. We all think papers are important, whether it is promotion or for a new position. Always people ask how many papers. The ecosystem still look at the impact factor. Right? So if we suddenly say it is all going to product, that may take more time actually. Or the policy says, okay, the products are also equally good, like the ILD system. So that need to be told to everyone, so that if someone is focusing on research, they can also think of like, okay, having just a patent or publication, along with that, take it forward to the startup, whether it fails or succeed. That's a different story.
Very rightly pointed out, Dr. Panda. But as I said, implementation from is an issue in many organizations. If it has come with the implementation clarity, then we will see more transformations of scientific research from the lab to the market, and more involvement of the faculties, more channelizing their energy towards benefiting the Indian ecosystem with innovations in different sectors. I think we have a lot of talents. we have, enthusiasm to work as well. But if the ecosystem facilitates even more, and if it gets easier and awareness reaches to the ground level, we should be able to see the difference.
And we talked about the faculty, but if you look at the students, how many PhD students, even they file patent, even they have ideas that can go to market, but hardly anyone comes out and say, okay, we'll take it for to start a start. They mostly go into the other postdoc or into another uh, job in a company. So how do you think like the bioincubator is encouraging that or like having programs so that more students can come into this information?
Yeah, that segment of critical mass, PhD and going to the postdoc, are very
Everyone doesn't get a postdoc also.
correct. But then across the nation, across India, where the biotech ecosystem that I can speak about, are creating programs that need the participation or are open for participation for PhD and postdocs. But we do not see people coming and participating is a limitation either from the student or from where he or she is working. So that uh, needs to get tagged and broken. Right? We need more institutions coming up and open up more programs so these participation can increase so they know what holds in the next future. As you said, being a faculty, just PhD, giving PhDs, giving papers and publications are not just enough. So the would-be scientists in coming next 20 years, they need to have a complete different critical thinking power so that they can survive in the innovation sector for next 2 decades. So that kind of awareness, sensitization needs to start from the MSc level before they are entering into PhDs. So they know in next 5 years of time their PhD, how they can build their thinking capacity, how they can improve their career orientations, what they can achieve in that next 5 years.
Not just for
Not just their
postdoc, but
that would be my take. So, Dr. Panda, if entrepreneur journey, how can DBT, BIRAC, UST, or startup investors they have helped you, or what is the important role that they have played in your entrepreneurial journey so far?
so as I said, like the startups really fun. And first one we received from startup Odisha as a monthly allowance. And we also got product development and marketing assistance from startup Odisha. And they're very crucial for the survival of the startup. And after the startup was second, we also got a debenture from Startup India seed fund through Odisha. And we are trying to develop the organization for all these support. And they are very crucial just to have the startup the running or certainly for the last 4 years. Without that, I don't think we will have survived like that. No, many of the startups they vanish within a year or two. And without this kind of government support, no startup can survive. Okay. They are very critical. We have not received from BIRAC and DST, but we are trying to get those grants for either from seed fund or grant support so that we can develop the product and get it to the market. So we still have time to catch up with the market and get it into the result. And still that time I think we need more support from
Being in this startup ecosystem for 4 years in your journey, what do you think is the biotech startups contributing to the Viksit Bharat's $1 trillion economy? what's your view on?
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know how much we are exactly contributing to the Indian economy we are moving towards. But certainly we are helping getting the manpower, getting the job for people. So which is big gain for the policies that startup India, startup Odisha. So we are generating employment and developing our indigenous technology for India, in India. We are not getting things from outside, like I said. We have not purchased this DNA translation kits for me. But if I have not made this, then we would be getting this from the foreign government. So our money must be flowing out of India. So that way, like we are saving the money going outside of India and also saving the transportation. Like for the foreign products, you need to go through the customs and transportation, all that we are saving by making things here. So that way we are helping, but how much we are helping, that I'm not sure.
I think every small step is very important. Everybody's contribution, every startup or every innovator's contribution will definitely see the results in the coming years. And that is what we really feel in the integrated ecosystem.
Yeah, correct.
So, any other government schemes or initiative you might have thought should have been there for startups to overcome their more challenges during the fourth year or fifth year of their innovation? At the policy level, a suggestion at a policy level that you would want as a startup to be given to the government, and if they can make any changes in their policy or taking suggestions.
So I will not suggest about the fourth year or fifth year startup. I will suggest at the starting. Like when I started with what I said, like for making something in India. But the screening, I think, should have been more rigorous, and that time, like whatever funding we give to any startup, like we register, then we apply, then it goes through rounds of evaluation. Instead of that, when some startup is applying for TIPP registration or startup registration, let them give a presentation, a complete roadmap, business model details, so that they can be evaluated and given the money right out, like without further delay. Because as I said, like half of the companies they just vanish within a year. Because these grants, you write, we will go through, and get it takes time. So that much time is very crucial for the startup. So when they are registering, don't allow them to register.
Unless they have
A complete idea, you can take them for 2 months pre-incubation, nurture the idea, and if the idea is feasible, let the incubator give them some seed funding, right away, so that they can work on the prototype. Because everyone doesn't have their own money to start the startup, even the idea is good. And taking time for the grant for a year or so, that's like a pain point for all the startups. So for the fourth and fifth year startups, I don't think government should support if a startup, be it my startup or anyone's startup, if they do not generate that much revenue in 4 5 years, then so it is the fault of the startup in some or the other way.
So you're saying select few, give them full support
Full support.
from the beginning.
Beginning,
And
if they
be
take
there.
10 years,
Right.
support them. Don't support just for the sake of the number.
Yeah, I think in the biotech ecosystem with the high risk, high reward, innovations, this can be very well implemented, and so that we minimize the expensive of
Yeah.
innovation, and we see many outcomes of innovation. I think the suggestion would be well taken. for deep tech innovations to come to the market, it will be more better, then it can be critically evaluated before they begin them. And I think putting that into context, government is satisfying giving them entrepreneurship in residence program. It is encouraging so that they know during that period they can come up with a complete market plan for their innovation, whether it really has some market product fit kind of a thing they have to check. So that those kind of things have been they put up in different forums and have taken cues from these systems, and then they are really framing the policies. So the new policy for the biotech policy of Odisha that has come, it is more oriented towards scaling up startup, which is really a gap in Odisha's ecosystem. So I think, because all our early startups are either going outside to manufacture, create their product and come back and sell it. Because we do not have that manufacturing capability in Odisha itself. So I guess the policies of biotech park as well as the new policy that by last year, which was released by the Odisha government, is very startup friendly. But as soon as it gets implemented, I think startup will have a lot of benefits, and they can leverage this people who are on the beginning and are on the cusp for translation. It will be a great benefit for all of them.
So, how do you position this bioincubator in terms of attracting national or international players or investors to come here and invest and make Odisha as an entrepreneurship hub in the biotech segment?
In the last 5 years, maybe the formation of the ILS Bioincubator, we supported about 44 to 45 startups in here, and they focus on very unique and niche areas, and their innovations are also very unique. So we've been getting a lot of requests from different deep tech investors, whether it is national or international, to invest in startups. So we have a startup who has got 100 crore FDI for an investment from Israel. So he is now working with the Israeli team to create the impact with the innovation. Likewise, our startups are also collaborating internationally to create either the market to do soft landing or to co-create or co-develop the products also in terms of antibody, new kind of antibodies, new kind of recombinant proteins if you look, and all the sensors. They are also been collaborating. Those companies are working on electrode sensor, bioelectrode screen printing electrodes. They are also collaborating with Austria and collaborating with Germany, and the Protextile Biosolutions. They are also collaborating with French and Denmark. So the innovation and the work, the quality of startups that we have at Innovation Center itself is attractive. So I would say the founders, the startups that they have created in the areas that they are working are creating attraction from the investors. So we have started working on space technology, where taking pharmaceuticals into microgravity. He has raised a fund of 5 crores from Campus One. So it has come. We are looking at now. From last year, I'm seeing a lot of investors approaching by themselves from our interaction into social media, or the the economic policies that have been changed in India level has been opened up for all investors to come into incubators, and they are looking at incubators because they know this crowd is already peer reviewed. So investors are coming. Now I'm also finding people approaching me for soft landing in different countries like Brazil, Russia, Vietnam, all those kind of
Startup Odisha is
startup Odisha is also asking
asking
how to promote these kind of exchanges that is possible. So I think with it is looking a lot of opportunities are there in the coming years for the startups.
so like what the success looks like is it the startup numbers or the investments they are getting or the number of products they are launching or the revenue? What you think is the
I,
success?
I would think sustainability should be measured as a success. Number of employments that is being created and generated is the first important thing. Already. Of course, if the
Manpower trained
manpower trained and manpower employed.
yeah, like
So
employer and trained.
correct. So that is the success. As the bigger your team is, I'm sure the number of products is increasing, the revenue is increasing. So I would only focus on sustainability and number of people they are working in this. So if those two are increasing, the rest of them are definitely doing the work for needs to do increase. So my success would be the number of employments to measure generated for any startups. Okay. How they are raising funds.
And how about the success of the buying?
So bioincubator success is measured in different parameters, I would say. The first is definitely what kind of innovators are we attracting, how we have grown from initial years to date, right? So is the innovation level increasing of the startups that are getting attracted to us? What are the facilities? Are we improving in the facilities that we are providing in infrastructure wise, networking wise? Are we able to help the startups raise their funds? Are our branding is growing with the startups branding, right? Is a kind of mentorship that we are providing or a support system that we are creating at the integration center. Is the startup really longing to have that kind of an ecosystem? So that are some measures that I say. Of course, other than what we talk just now, that international connections, national connection, regular mentors, what are the revenue that the innovation is generating, how many startups are involved and how many employments these startups have generated also counts throughout the year.
So, in the bioincubator, like, do you think Odisha is going to be a hub for, or Bhubaneswar going to be a bioentrepreneurship hub in the coming 5 years? And if yes, how the government is working towards it?
See, Odisha has been developing. So, me looking at Odisha for the last 10 years, we see a complete range of developments happening in different sectors. And BioTech also has been very focused in terms of growth by the Odisha government. Right? So what we have we have a mature intelligence, intellect, stakeholders. We have many research organizations, many universities offering biotechnology. We have policy that is coming up friendly, frame, right? In this case, from the state government of Odisha. Now it is only implementation. Now we have, at least 200 to 500 startups in biotech ecosystem, which are comprising of agri-tech, food tech, biopharma, medical devices, diagnostics, and manufacturing. All of that, if I really look at, every incubators have at least 10, 15 to 50 people around. So if you count 200 plus, we have biotech startups in here, in Odisha. And if you see long run in next 5 years, these biotech startups, from at least 20 of them will create their industries. And people who have started in 2016 or 2018, I have seen Public Solutions, so creating their own facilities. I've seen cute, who's a
I think like close to 10 years.
right, close to 10
Yeah.
years. So it was like it started in 2016 or 2017 when they started. Then we have Isn't School doing really very good also. So they are known people, they have created, they've grown from scratch. No entrepreneurial experience from the family, no second generation people coming into the, doing entrepreneurship. And I think these are a few examples to be getting inspired with minimum availability they have grown by more facilitation from the government, more facilitation from investors and everything. We should be definitely looking forward to a brighter future of biotech in this.
I think DBT-ILS Bioincubator should be remembered in now. One line is like, why should someone remember this?
I think if you ask me, DBT-ILS Bioincubator should be remembered as one of the incubators which facilitates faculties to take their scientific research to translation. Second, it should be remembered as, as an incubator to be a part of unique products coming from biotech to be placed in the market.
Mostly in the biotech sector.
In the biotech sector, because our focus is completely on life sciences and biotech, so we would be looking at, be a part of the journey of startups who are bringing unique products and coming up with solutions to the market. So, DBT-ILS Bioincubator will be really proud to be in that journey to see the product, see the benefits for the society. And since you've come from RNA biology and you've been working in RNA biology for so many years, my question to you would be, what would be the technologies to look forward in the RNA biology space for commercialization? What kind of technologies can scientists working in RNA biology look forward to?
You are saying the future.
Future of
technologies. So, what I feel is like the CRISPR technology, not on the DNA, but on the RNA editing. That is one of the technology that is not much into the market now. So for gene editing instead of DNA, I think we can use CRISPR for the RNA editing at the RNA level at a specific time. That is one technology that I think should come out in the future. And the other one is the antisense oligo for correcting mutations, systems, keeping oligos for muscular tissue feed blood time. The cost is very high, but I think there will be affordable solutions in India that can help people. So those two things I think will come up in the sector.
So do you intend to contribute to these areas in the near future?
Definitely, like we're thinking in that direction, like how the antisense oligos can be used in the therapy. But it needs a lot of research and innovation to come into the market. So, any kind of advice for the students or next generation entrepreneurs from your side, if you want to give one piece of advice?
I think my advice to all the innovators or students or faculties and the crowd, leave your comfort zone, experiment. If the opportunity does not knock at your door, create the opportunity. That is my message.
Even if you fail,
Even if you fail, yes.
you just
Keep trying until you get it right.
thank you, ma'am, for your time and thanks to the audience.
Thank you for the opportunity, sir. I'm happy being here tonight.
Thank you.